everyone, Gina here, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. So today I'm going to be sitting down and sharing with you guys my first trimester update. So I found out I was pregnant in the middle of June, and this week I started my first trimester. So I have been taking notes and sharing with you guys to share with you guys how things have been going. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into it. And if you are at all new to my channel, maybe you just found my channel, I found out I was expecting my fourth child. I have a daughter and I have two boys. So not sure what this one is yet, but we will find out. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into it. So like I said, I found out I was pregnant super early. So I found out at about 4 weeks. I always find out super early with my babies when I am actually pregnant with them because I just have no patience at all. So I start testing like immediately. So I found out I was pregnant actually the day before my daughter's birthday. And the first person I actually told was Nicole Burgess because she was my keto coach at the time. And I was like, okay, well, I need to let her know because I'm sure there are some foods that maybe I'm eating on keto that I shouldn't be eating while pregnant. And I just shared with her, and then we kind of like figured out a diet plan from there. So I did find out super early. Chris and I actually kept it more of a secret from our families until about 7 weeks or so. So we didn't actually share the news with our family, so our parents and my in-laws and extended family. We didn't actually share this news until about 7 weeks because this time around we wanted to make sure that we went to the doctor first. We wanted to confirm everything. We wanted to make sure that we had a heartbeat, and we did. So at 7 weeks we did get our first ultrasound and everything came back great. This is definitely a different experience if you are pregnant because spouses can't come with you to these appointments. So that was a little sad for me, but you know, when you get pregnant during a pandemic, this is something that you just have to deal with. So Chris was not able to go with me to the first ultrasound and the first baby appointment, but Kaiser was amazing, and my doctor reassured me that I could go ahead and video for him so that he could see the ultrasound as well. So I really appreciate how flexible that Kaiser is, because typically their policy isn't they don't allow you to record anything. So I was really grateful that they let us record this. So once we found out that the baby was healthy, baby was growing, everything looked good, then we went ahead and told our parents. But I had gotten a gestational diabetes screening at my 7-week appointment. So normally you don't do this until your third trimester, but I had gestational diabetes with my third, and they wanted to go ahead and test me early. So I did fail the first test. So my glucose was too high. So then I went to the 3-hour test and I failed my fasting. So that's what got me back on the gestational diabetes train. So that has been quite the journey for sure. I thought that going into this, I thought that I would be able to maintain everything with just diet and exercise. I thought, okay, well, I beat this once, I did fine one time, and everything's gonna be fine. But my morning fasting sugars were way too high. So if you don't know gestational diabetes, when you wake up in the morning time, you want your fasting blood sugar to be under 94, and my numbers were trending in the hundreds. So I think it was around week 10, I started doing insulin. So I take 8 units of NPH before bedtime, and that's supposed to control my sugars in the morning time. And for so far, it's been working well. However, the last week, my numbers have been above that 94 range. So when I go to my doctor's appointment next and talk with my case manager, I will need to see, maybe I have to start taking more insulin at nighttime, which they did warn me that as the pregnancy progresses, that I will probably have to take more insulin, and I'm totally fine with that. Because I'm doing what I can on my end to eat right, exercise, and try to follow the gestational diabetes diet the best I can. But sometimes even me doing the best I can, I still need a little extra help. So if I have to start taking more insulin at night, if I have to start taking insulin before meals, you better believe I'm gonna do it, because my first priority obviously is to make sure that my baby stays healthy. So that's just been, it's definitely a struggle when you are going through pregnancy and you have all these pregnancy cravings, and it's really hard to not be able to give into them, like ice cream and pizza and chips and just the random things that you're craving. But I'm actually really thankful that the whole keto world has kind of blown up, because you literally can get a swap for pretty much anything. So if I'm craving something specific, then I can try to tweak it and make it my own. So if I'm, you know, craving pizza, I can do a English muffin type pizza. I can just toast the English muffin, put a little pizza sauce and cheese, throw on some pepperonis, and I'm good to go. Or I can do like the flat out breads, or I can get a keto version pizza at a local place called Blaze Pizza by Us, and you know, I just make it work. So it's definitely a struggle. So I will mention this, if you have been along the pregnancy journey, you know how awful the anxiety can be. So in those first early weeks, when you don't know if everything's okay, that really got to me this time around, worse than any of them before. And I think it's because I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes so early on that I didn't know the effects that it could have on a fetus early on. And it was just driving me crazy. I remember going into a well check around 10 weeks because the anxiety was just way too much for me, and it was raising my blood sugar. So if you guys didn't know, stress can actually increase your blood sugar. So I did remember going in at about 10 weeks, and I got some clarity and reassurance that everything was fine. And then I remember the morning of my 12-week appointment, I was just a mess. I didn't know what to expect. I was hoping everything was fine, because like I said, at this phase, like you don't know. You can't feel the baby move. You have some pregnancy symptoms, but you still just never know. So that was definitely hard. So what has helped me with those anxiety moments is making sure I have that village next to me, the people I can turn to just say, hey, like I'm struggling today, and just have people there for you just to listen. And that has definitely been helpful. Also staying active has been helpful. On good weeks, I'm running 2 miles 4 days a week in the morning time. I used to run in the afternoon time, but it has just been so hot here in Southern California. And typically it's hot, but it's been humid too. And I decided that I needed to run in the morning times. So that's where we're at. So I run 4 days a week, 2 miles, and I want to continue to stay that active throughout my pregnancy, unless my doctor says otherwise. I had a previa last time, so around 20 weeks, I was taken off of exercise until my placenta moved. So hopefully I don't have that issue this time around, and I can continue to run through the duration of my pregnancy. If I can run up to delivery, I'm absolutely going to do that. It might just be a little bit more different as I get further along, because I'm sure like potty breaks are going to be necessary probably like halfway through my run, but we do have a community pool that's like halfway through my run. So might need to stop there, or I might just need to stop at a friend's house and say, hey, I got to use your toilet. I don't know. I'll figure it out once I get there. But I do plan on continuing to stay active throughout this whole pregnancy, because I think it's going to help me along the road of the pregnancy, and it's definitely going to help me after as well. So staying active has definitely helped with those anxiety-filled moments of when I'm not sure about the baby, when I get anxious about being diabetic during pregnancy, when I get anxious about taking insulin. I have noticed that running, like I've already mentioned, but I've tried different things to keep myself busy. So I recently planted a vegetable garden in our backyard, and that has been really therapeutic for me as well. So we have some pumpkins going, we have cucumbers, we have tomatoes, we have, I think I said cucumbers already, we have some bell peppers, and then I'm going to start planting some lettuce, I'm going to start planting some garlic, and it's just a way for me to get my headspace somewhere else. So being outside, creating something from seeds, it's amazing when you add your seeds in the ground and then you start to see your little plants rising and the little springlings coming out, and when you start seeing your seedlings sprout out, and just knowing that you did that, it's definitely been really therapeutic for me and something I have been enjoying doing, and that's something I definitely needed. I also needed something to do other than YouTube, because if you guys don't know the style of my couponing videos, I used to take you all in store with me, and with COVID-19 going on right now, I just did not think that being inside of CVS and Walgreens and other places of high frequency where people are at. I just didn't think that that was the smartest thing for me to be doing, specifically the pharmacies, because I mean, people who are sick go to the pharmacy to get whatever they need to help themselves feel better. Our local CVS is now a drive-through testing center, and I just didn't think that it was the best move for me to be going in-store every single week and filming different couponing videos. So I did take a step back from doing in-store couponing. I have been trying to mesh couponing back into my videos in a more sit-down form. So hopefully and I think that this is going to be a good transition overall, because going in store to CVS and Walgreens and Target, the amount of time it would take to film in store, it took a lot of time out of my day. And now that I've removed that from my daily routine, my weekly routine, I have much more time at home, one, to enjoy it with my family. Two, I'm going back to school, so now I have some time that I didn't have before to focus on my classes and school and studying and whatnot. And it's allowed me to start learning new hobbies like gardening. And I didn't have the time to do that when I was going to Target, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and doing in-store videos. It just took up way too much of my time, and something had to give. So I had to compromise. So I'm still bringing you guys couponing content. It's just a different type of couponing style. So if you are one of my coupon followers and you guys are enjoying those videos, or if you continue to stick around, believe me when I say this, I appreciate you so much, because it definitely was something that I was nervous to do, because, you know, sometimes people don't like change. So sometimes people want to see in store, and I just didn't know what was going to happen, if you guys were going to leave me because I didn't go in store. I don't know. That fear was legit in my mind, and I'm just letting you guys know right now, I appreciate you all so much for continuing to stick with me, even though my video style is a little bit different. But I think that me staying safe is the most important. So now that we're going into, now I'm going to talk about my nausea. So I've only experienced a small amount of nausea from week 6 to 8, but it tapered off really quickly. So I remember in week 6 to 8, I would have kind of that like unsettling stomach, or if I would smell certain things, it just wouldn't sit the right way. Sometimes even sipping my coffee I didn't like, but that did not last very long at all. But I think that that's just a common thing with me in pregnancy, because I have never been someone to be, you know, in the bathroom all day long, throwing up all day long. I think I've only thrown up like a handful of times, which I'm really grateful for. But I really haven't had much morning sickness or nausea. And the times I did have it, it was maybe 2 weeks at most, and I started to feel a lot better. But I will say this, the extreme fatigue, holy moly. There was a 2-week span, probably in about week 10 to 11, like I didn't want to do anything. Like it was a struggle just to get myself off the couch. It was a struggle to get myself in the shower. Like I just felt completely drained. And I don't know if it was just like a sleep cycle change that I was going through, or my hormones, or what it was, but I was so tired. And my sleep schedule has changed a lot having gestational diabetes, because I can't go more than 8 hours without eating. So I have to take insulin at night right before bed and before my bedtime snack. So I've been trying to tweak my time. So I've been having to get up at 5 a.m. because I have to eat something, because if I go longer than 8 hours without eating, then my blood sugar is too high. So like today I went 9 hours without eating and my blood sugar was 98. It's supposed to be under 94. So now tomorrow I'm going to try waking up at 5 and see if that at all helps, because waking up in the 5 o'clock hour seems to be a better number for me, but it's just a struggle because I can't go to bed any earlier than about 9 o'clock, because I have to take my insulin around that time. I have to have my bedtime snack around that time. So I'm someone who used to, you know, some nights I would be asleep by 8 and wake up at, you know, 6 or 7. Like I was used to getting so much more sleep. So my body's adjusting to getting 7 to 8 hours on average a night. And I know that probably sounds like a really good stretch of sleep, but for someone who was used to sleeping sometimes 10 hours a night, it was definitely a transition for me for sure. But we are, you know, we're just working we're just working those numbers, tweaking it, and just doing the best I can. Something that I did discuss with my doctor was overall my sugars, they've been pretty happy with them. I've had a few elevations here or there, but I haven't had elevations to the point to where it's getting to the point to where I'm having, you know, 2 or 3 elevations every single day, consistently every day. So it hasn't been to that point. So overall, I think I have pretty good control, but you know, we'll see with my next appointment because I've had a lot of elevations this past week. So we'll see. I have a phone appointment on Thursday, so we'll see what they have to say. But I think that they're probably going to want me to increase because my morning sugars have been high, even with the insulin. So we will just have to see. Okay, so the goal with so now we're going to talk about weight gain. So I started my pregnancy at about 172. So the BMI for me, I was a little bit over on the BMI scale. I had lost quite a bit of weight from January up until June. And I think my highest weight was like 186. So I had dropped quite a few pounds doing keto. And I started my journey around 172. And I think this morning I weighed in at like 176, something like that. So being 13 weeks, I've gained about 4 pounds. I think it's recommended to gain about 2 to 5 pounds in your first trimester. So I am right on track. And the goal really for me at this point is to not gain much weight. Being diabetic during pregnancy, the goal for me is to gain as little as possible. So in a typical pregnancy, I mean, you can gain anywhere from 25 to 35 pounds, just depends on your body. But I can't do that. So right now we're at a 4 pound weight gain, which I'm okay with, my doctor's okay with, and you know, just hoping it's kind of like a really small incline. Gained the bulk of my weight in my second trimester, and my weight kind of tapers off in the third. So we'll just see what happens. The more active I am, the better it's going to be for sure. Something else that has been different in this pregnancy is I have actually tapered off my medication. So I do take medication for anxiety and depression, and I worked with my doctor to taper off around 7 weeks. Now I know Zoloft is a approved medication, but my husband and I both agreed that we just didn't want me taking any type of anxiety medicine while I am pregnant. It's just something I just didn't want to do. I know you can if you need to, but that's always an option if it gets to the point to where I absolutely have to have medication. But in terms of coping, I've been able to cope with exercise, rest, and like I said, just having open communication with those that I trust. And when I'm having a bad day, I can just reach out to those that I know are supportive with me, and that has been really helpful. So I've done pretty well being off my medication so far. So I guess we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe when I'm done with the pregnancy, maybe I can continue these coping skills, and maybe I don't need to take my medication in the future. We will see. We will see. I'm not making any promises, but we will see. So in the start of this pregnancy, I originally had thought that I didn't want to know the sex of the baby because I wanted to be surprised. And ultimately I thought that this was just a test of maybe God wants to test my patience. Maybe he wants to test my faith in him. But middle of the first trimester, I really had to ask myself, are you sure that's what God is wanting you to do? And I realized that I think more of what God wanted me to do was just embrace how he made me. And I am 100% a control freak. I don't like surprises. I like to be prepared. So this was just something that I had changed my mind on. My husband ultimately knew that I would want to find out, and my mother-in-law ultimately knew I wanted to know what the baby is. So we do plan on finding out what the sex of the baby is, and once we know, then I will be excited to share with you guys. So one of the main reasons that I wanted to know is because I need to prepare my house. So if you guys don't know, we have a 4-bedroom house, but we have 2 bedrooms available for the kids. So the boys' room, and then Scarlett has her own room. So why I want to know what the sex of the baby is because I want to make sure that I have everything prepared before the baby comes, because we are still in a lingering pandemic. I don't know what's going to happen come February. I don't know if Scarlett's going to be able to go back to school. And the thought of trying to figure out room situations, postpartum with 3 other children and 2 dogs and virtual learning. It just wasn't something that sounded appealing to me. And I would much rather use the time in my second trimester where I have the most energy to go ahead and just get that done. So I am anxiously waiting to see what we are having so I can finally figure out what I'm going to be doing with the space in my house. Unfortunately, if we have another boy, the boys are gonna shack up in one room. I know that is not ideal, but I'm not in a place, nor is my husband, like we don't wanna move. Like it's so easy for someone to say, oh, just move and buy a bigger house. Well, we live in Southern California. Real estate is crazy where we live, and the whole process of even listing your house and getting the process of moving is a lot of work, and it's not something my husband and I want to do. And my husband is self-employed, so if you've ever tried to get a mortgage on an entrepreneur route, it is extremely hard to do. There's a lot of paperwork, more paperwork than a regular W-9 employee, so that is definitely not something we want to do. We also moved from Virginia to California, and after that move I said, I'm not moving from this house. Like I'm gonna die in this house. So I have no plans on wanting to move. So if 3 boys have to share a room, 3 boys will have to share a room. We have a lot of open space in our downstairs area where we have my office area, we have an open living room, we have an open kitchen, so there is plenty of common space for all the kids when they get older. But ultimately, you know, the boys' room would be where they sleep. It's not like they're going to be entertaining the ladies upstairs, you know, right next to their dad's office and right down the hall from their mom and dad's bedroom. Like that's not something that's going to be happening in our home. So it's not really something I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the boys like, oh man, I'm trying to entertain such and such and can't do that with my 2 other brothers in the room. Like that's not something that's even going to be happening in our house anyways. So I figured, you know what, the boys' room, it's meant to sleep in, and that's what the bedrooms are for, to sleep in. And there are other parts of our house that the boys can go if they need some privacy. If they needed privacy, they could always retreat to Chris and I's room. If they wanted to sit with Chris in the office, they could do that too. There's just, bottom line is there's tons of space in our house, but moving is not something I am considering at all. Maybe if I was carrying like triplets, then maybe we would need to, but there's only 1 baby in there. So that is everything I have to share with you guys for my first trimester. I mean, overall, I'm feeling pretty good, aside from just being tired and cranky at times and having a little bit of sickness, but that tapered off really quickly. But only the major thing, honestly, is just the gestational diabetes. It's definitely a struggle. It's definitely scary because you don't know ultimately what's going to happen, but the only thing I can control is my sugars at this point. So as long as I'm eating what I'm supposed to, taking my medication as suggested, and just continuing to avoid my cravings I get, avoiding ice cream, avoiding the real pizza, continuing to do things like that is going to ensure that the baby and I are going to be absolutely fine. And it's, my doctor tells me this all the time. If my sugar is good, the baby's sugar is good. So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, then there's no reason for me to worry at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and just give you guys a belly shot because that's what we do in pregnancy updates. So my belly is kind of small. I don't know, we'll see. This is what my belly is looking at right now. So I'm in my 13th week. So next week I will be 14 weeks. I do have a lot of like shot wounds. So I do have a lot of like needle pokes right here, but you know what? I'm not planning on, you know, wearing any bikinis anytime soon. I'm not planning on wearing any crop tops. I have welts right here from the needles and some bruising, but you know what? I tell myself this all the time that it could definitely be worse. I have had to increase the size of my bra too. I started on a 34C, and now I'm in a 36D. So I'm glad I upgraded my bra because now I just feel like I have more room. So I'm gonna start doing these updates every 4 weeks. So I'll do 14 to 18 next, and then I'll do like every 4 weeks to update you guys, because I find that watching pregnancy updates, it can be extremely helpful when you're going through the pregnancy process, because you know that there's someone else that you're watching who's going through the same exact thing you are. And it's comforting to know, you know, if someone's feeling this way, you're not the only one feeling this way. So I find pregnancy updates really helpful. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day with whatever it is you're doing. Make sure you like this video, comment below anything you would like, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye guys.